Hey guys, Victoria here and welcome back to my channel. A very common question that I get asked on here is, do you think it is necessary to make notes? So I thought today I would just film this video to share my opinion on note taking, and also I'll be giving you some tips on taking notes. These are all my personal opinion, and the way that everyone revises is different. This is just the way that I do it, and my way of doing it is not the only way of doing it, but I just thought I would share my way so that maybe some of you guys would benefit from this. I will begin this video by answering the questions that I am frequently asked by you guys, and the first question is, do you think it is necessary to make notes? My answer is yes. In my opinion, it is definitely very necessary to make notes, especially like if you're sitting for SPM, then it is very necessary to make notes for the 3 science subjects and history. I learn and revise by making notes. I never just read the textbook passively. Just by reading it, like nothing will enter my brain. I have to make notes in order to remember something. Question number 2 is, how do you make your notes? There are various ways of note taking, and I have already mentioned it in my 4 methods of note taking video, and I don't actually stick to a certain method of note taking. I use all 4 depending on the conditions. I use different methods of note taking for different subjects and different materials. For example, if a teacher or a lecturer is teaching and I want to take note of what he says, then I would use the Cornell method. By using the Cornell method, I take notes on the right hand side of the page, and then after the class I will go back and write down the main idea on the left hand side of the page, and then I will write the summary at the bottom of the page. I find that the Cornell method is extremely helpful when you are taking notes when someone is teaching the material to you. If I'm taking notes on something which is complicated and has like relations with one another, then I would use the mind mapping method. I often use mind mapping methods in history only, and if I'm outside of class when I'm taking notes from the textbook, then the method that I use the most is the outlining method. I like the outlining method because it can display information clearly, and it is the simplest method as well. In outlining method, we basically just write down our main points in bullet points, and that's it, and it is very structured as well, so I love using the outlining method. I wouldn't consider myself a visual learner, so I hardly use mind maps unless the material that I have to learn focuses on the relationships between the subtopics. And then the third question which I'm often asked is, I make the notes but I don't have the time to review it, so what do I do? Honestly, I don't have much time to review my notes as well, and so I rarely do it unless I make flashcards. Then I will review my notes because flashcards are very portable and just easy to review, and I usually make flashcards for biology because for the information in biology you can't just remember it by making notes once, you have to go over it again and again. So I decided to use flashcards to study the material, and then I can review my flashcards. We are constantly making notes for new chapters, so finding the time to review the notes for past chapters is rather difficult. So what I do is I learn the material when I'm making the notes itself. Last time when it got nearer to SPM for me, I would revise history whenever I have free time in class because there were just too many things to memorize for history and it was stressing me out. So whenever I have free time, I would revise history. So what I do is I would grab an A4 paper or just whatever piece of paper I could find, and then I would make notes on sejarah using the outlining method in tiny handwriting, just like very compact notes in tiny handwriting. And then after I'm done, I would sometimes file the paper away, or sometimes I would just lose the paper. I have already learned the material and the information is already in my brain, so it doesn't matter whether I still keep my notes or not. And if I don't have time to review it, then it's fine because when I was taking my notes, I was actively doing it and the information already entered my brain. So when you're taking your notes, don't do it blindly or simply. Don't just copy down whatever is being written down without the information actually entering your brain. When you make notes, you're supposed to try to remember the things that you write. You have to learn actively, use highlighters, use whatever. Just try to remember whatever you are writing down so that you don't have to review your notes. When you are making your notes, you are already learning. So if you have time to review your notes, then that's great. Go ahead and review your notes, but if you don't have time, then it's fine because you have already learned the material once. Now I will share some of my tips for taking notes, and the first tip that I have for you is to always redraw diagrams. Let's say you are taking notes for biology and there's a diagram of the heart, then make sure that you draw the diagram when you're taking your notes, and make sure also that you can label the heart from memory. Just always take note of diagrams because they could be asked anywhere. They could give you a picture of a heart in paper 1 and then they label the parts with A, B, C, D and they ask you to identify which is the vena cava. Or in paper 2, they could even give you a diagram of the heart and they ask you to label everything. There are so many possibilities. Of course, the heart is only an example. There are a ton of diagrams in biology, and I would suggest that you really take note of the diagrams because questions are often asked on diagrams, in my opinion, especially for biology. So make sure that you always redraw the diagrams and try to remember all the parts until you can label it from memory and without referring it to the textbook. Tip number 2 is to always use blue pens when taking notes. It is scientifically proven that using blue pens can improve our memory. You can look it up in the internet if you want to. I'm not sure to which extent that is true, but yeah, a research was done and it was found that blue pen can like trigger your memory or something. And I love using blue pens anyway, so I use blue pens regardless of whether it can actually improve my memory. But it's something that you can try out. Maybe just try switching from blue to black, or if you're already using blue, then that's great. Tip number 3 is to use highlighters of 2 colors at least. The first color can be used to highlight the main idea, and then the second color can be used to highlight the supporting ideas. This way you can easily identify which is the main idea and which is the supporting idea, and the information will stand out to your brain as well. Doing this allows your brain to remember information easily, especially when it associates certain ideas with a certain color. Tip number 4 is to always identify important keywords, and you can either underline it or put a star next to it. If you've seen my note-taking videos, you would know that I like to underline the keywords. Like for sejarah or biology, there are surely keywords that will get you points in essays, so definitely try to take note of those keywords. Highlight the keywords or just mark them so that when you do have time to review your notes, then the keywords will stand out to you. Or if you're reviewing your notes last minute and the keywords that you highlight will just stand out to you. That's about it for this video. I just wanted to make this video because I get a lot of questions on note making, so I thought I would share my opinions in this video, and I hope that the tips that I have for note taking is helpful as well. If you like my content, remember to subscribe down below and just give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!